Hello, my name is Nicholas Kolinsky, and today I will be talking about the minimum wage in the Milwaukee area. In the Milwaukee area, there are many people who are struggling. If you look around you, you may not see it, but I assure you, many are. While everybody struggles at one point or another in their life, I'm here to talk about people who struggle financially. I'm not talking about saving up for something they want or something that seems attainable. No, I am talking about how many people living in the city of Milwaukee struggle to pay their bills. They struggle to pay their rent. They struggle to pay for the basics of life. On a small wage of $7.25 an hour, this is a very serious problem. While there aren't too many workers out in Milwaukee that are paid this considerably low rate, there are those who exist. And it pains me to think about how people actually have to endure such financial difficulties. Today I will be talking, as I've stated previously, about the minimum wage in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Throughout Milwaukee, there are those who do not know how difficult making ends meet can be. Of course, there are also many who do know this struggle, some too well. Today's talk is mainly for those who do not know the extent in which the financial struggle exists in the Milwaukee area. For those who are making minimum wage or near minimum wage, there is an economic struggle. Near minimum wage is being under the poverty line. This poverty line depends on how many how many people in a household are working, bringing in money, and how many dependents you have. Again, this varies from household to household, but minimum wage is not enough, even for a single person, which we will go into. These people have great difficulties living in the Milwaukee area. Let's just take all of the bare essentials of life and have them laid out in words. Yes? All people need a home. Yes? For a home, you need either rent or to pay a mortgage. Mortgages for property owner. This is assuming that you do not already have complete equity or ownership on a house. Otherwise, why would you be making this pitiful amount of money? Okay, so we have rent as necessity. Not only do they have to pay rent, but they have to purchase food. Everybody eats, you know. There's the argument of going to food pantry, and yes, these are great option, but they're not a long-term solution. You cannot reliably go to food pantry for everything you need. You have to buy food. So food is necessity. In addition to food, they have to purchase clothes. While these can be purchased relatively inexpensively, there's still need of clothing. Again, there's arguments for going to aid centers, yes, but again, you cannot reliably find the clothing in these centers. So, clothing is necessity. Utilities. Utilities for the home that you live in. What good is a home if it cannot make you warm, if it cannot make you comfortable, if it cannot be a place for you to prepare for the next days? While utilities change for each place, they're a necessity if they're not already paid for by the rent. What else? Insurance. You need insurance to do anything in America. It is illegal to drive without it. So, depending on which type of transportation you want, insurance is a maybe, along with healthcare. Again, nothing's free, and when you get sick, which everybody will get sick, you need a doctor visit. And for that, you need insurance. Yeah. Transportation. This is another thing that people will need. And now, given that you live inside of the city, it will not be too difficult to find and not too expensive if you use the public service, but Still, it is a necessity for the majority of people. This is just necessities for people to live with their health, nothing more. Currently in the city of Milwaukee, such necessities are unattainable at the state and federal minimum wage. Working a 40-hour week, having a full-time job is not enough for people to even live. Again, I get this information from this website, Living Wage Calculator. It demonstrates the poverty line and how much you would need to be above poverty line in Milwaukee. So what is it about Milwaukee that makes this problem so different from all of the other major cities with minimum wage problems? Well, in Milwaukee, there's no high level of pay for the city, unlike some other major cities in the United States. New York is an example of this, with the city having higher minimum wage than the rest of the state. Okay, well, so what? Milwaukee doesn't have higher minimum wage than the rest of the state. It isn't too much more expensive than the rest of the state, no? Well, again, we can go back to cost of living argument. The rent, the food, the utility, the clothes, so on and such forth, yes? Milwaukee has a very high cost of living compared to the rest of Wisconsin. So much so that is the only city that appears in major city lists in America. I get this information from how Milwaukee compares to rest of American cities. It's a website that's quite interesting. This shows how Milwaukee differs from the rest of the state of Wisconsin in that it has a higher cost of living than the rest of the state. Again, I get this information from how Milwaukee compares. This is a problem that, again, other major cities in the United States have addressed. Again, for example, with the city of New York. So if the cost of living in Milwaukee is so unbalanced with minimum wage, why has it not been raised? Well, some background first, yes? The state of Wisconsin currently follows the United States federal minimum wage, which is $7.25 the hour. This is the amount that has been standard since July 4th, 2009. Something to take note of is that this is the current longest period in American history in which the minimum wage has not been raised since its creation. This means that it's not as powerful as when it was first introduced because of inflation. While there are many states that do have different minimum wages than the federal, Wisconsin is not one of them, so we will not be talking about these states. So 10 years. 10 years of inflation and no signs of increase in the near future. With the current political situation in the United States now, I do not believe, that there will be any increase in minimum wage. Okay. At least on the federal level, there will be none. In late 2018, Tony Evers was elected governor of Wisconsin with promises to change the current minimum wage in the state. In early 2019, this year, the video was made. Evers set into motion a plan to increase the minimum wage to $15 per hour. I find this information from article from bizjournals.com. Governor Evers' budget plan to increase to $15 an hour. This plan is again proposed to start in 2020, periodically increase the minimum wage from the current amount, $7.25 an hour, to $15 the hour. There are also some increases for prison guards specifically, but this will not apply for the majority of people, so the prior price, or $15 an hour, will be more applicable. So why then, if the minimum wage is being increased to $15 per hour, do I speak of this issue? If it will be changing soon, there's no need. Yes? Right? Well, in my opinion, no. to try and take the struggle and the suffering away from somebody who endures it is not just. I am also unsure of the effectiveness of this proposed solution. It might not work. I don't know. Finally, I believe that awareness is one of the most important parts in this problem. The more people that know of it, the more that others can help. This TED Talk was not about giving solutions. This talk was not about showing something that none of you knew before hearing this. This talk was not about what you as an individual can do to help change things. This talk is simply to let the people who struggle every day to make things work, the people who struggle every day to pay their bills, the people who struggle every day just to live, be heard. I hope this talk has done these things.